Welcome to the Oxcord podcast presented by Boot Crew Media and sponsored by Maker's Mark. I am your host, Cruz Oxenrider, as always, joined by the co-host Nick Perkins and the intern, Bon Snow. Wyatt's in the cave behind the scenes. Boys, happy Sunday. How are we doing today?
Man, back in the saddle 1 week closer, am I right?
Yeah, we're there. We're in the 50s now.
Yeah. Well, I think we're actually below 50.
We're in the 40s.
Right.
Oh, we're in the 40s now. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh,
I think we're hitting linebacker territory. So I think that,
hell yeah.
Once we're out of like the defensive lineman, that's when you know you're getting close.
Dude, I love those awkward like jersey numbers, like 42 or
61.
Yeah, it's like all right.
Weird.
So I think we need to touch on a few things to start the show out. A certain NFL quarterback is apparently getting on with his friend's mom, and we're definitely going to touch about that later, but I think we all know where we need to start, and that is Baker Mayfield is officially a Carolina Panther, and me and Nick get to see him twice a year now.
Yeah, I don't know who's to say that he's actually going to be the starter. Has that been announced that he's like the starter?
It's Sam Darnold.
I know, but like, I mean, Baker, has he been training? Is he still fit?
I think
there's a lot that goes into that.
I think he has been. I think Baker knows that he's got to show up now. I hate this trade. I really do. I think Carolina got him for a steal. No.
Yeah. I agree.
Baker, I think Carolina got him for a steal.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and which if he plays enough, it'll be a fourth. But I think Carolina won the trade like by a landslide. You got the number 1 overall pick, still on his rookie deal for that. And then compared to what they gave up for Sam Darnold, like that is just ridiculous. Now, I hate it for Baker though, because he is not going to win with this team.
No.
This is not a good roster. This is the worst offensive line in football. It is. Like PFF has them as like 31, 32. Christian McCaffrey is always hurt. Defense is a little shaky. It shows up sometimes, and most of the time it breaks when you need him the most. Robbie Anderson does not want to play with this guy. DJ Moore, I think DJ Moore is – I am so sick of the DJ Moore hype train. He is the fantasy hype god every year, and everyone's like, you got to take him. And then he never lives up to it. I think he's a gadget guy. I think he's good, but I don't think he's great. Like I can think of 10 receivers I would take over him right now. You don't have a good tight end. Matt Rule's coaching for his job. And then you have Sam Darnold too, who I'll never understand him because he has moments of greatness where it's just like, wow, this kid can be really good if he puts it all together.
Was he the guy that just like jetted off for like an 80-yard run?
Yeah.
Like it was like a QB scramble. He just jetted for like 80 yards. And then everybody looks up. It was like Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football, and everybody was like watching. It was like, oh my God, Sam Darnold's actually something. And
it was a Thursday night game. Yeah, it was a Thursday night game. This should tell you what Sam Darnold's career is in the NFL. His first ever pass attempt in his first ever game was a pick six.
God, really?
By the Detroit Lions. Oh. And then he still won the game. Like he's a walking turnover. Him and Baker Mayfield are the two most turnover prone quarterbacks since 2018, since they both got in the league. And my thing is Baker. I think Seattle would have been a great fit for him because I know Seattle right now is going through a huge transition and they're tanking and they're probably going to draft Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. But they have DK Metcalf and they have Tyler Lockett and they have a good stable of running backs. Like they do. I think DJ Dallas is gonna have a breakout year this year for Seattle. You play in the toughest division in football, but if Baker were like to go out and win like 6 games with Seattle, 7 games, he's gonna get the bag somewhere. And then it's like maybe Seattle just invests in them. Maybe Seattle's like, you know what? Like I think we can build around Baker. Like let's go take these gaggle of picks that they got from Denver for Russell Wilson and then just build around Baker. And pay DK Metcalf and pay Tyler Lockett.
And Baker is at 27 years old. He goes out and balls out this year, right? And when we say ball out, he means six wins. I think that's like his ceiling. Do you think Carolina keeps him, or do you think they? Yeah.
There is one scenario where I see Baker Mayfield staying, and that is if he just plays like 2017 Oklahoma Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Where he goes out, he's got the best QBR ever. He just does what he does. Like, I loved watching Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma. I loved him. I was like, this is like a sober Johnny Manziel. This is who he was. And I fell in love with him. And then I was like really excited when he got to Cleveland, because I'm like, man, like Cleveland can actually be fun. And it just never panned out. Like, I think he had a coach that didn't want him. He was in the worst organization in sports at the time. I think Cleveland has gotten a lot better. I think I'm trying to think like worst run organizations in sports. Like Detroit's got to be up there. Texans for sure.
You could honestly argue the Falcons.
The Knicks are up there. But
the Pistons.
Oh yeah. The Pistons are getting better. They're getting better. They've had like 2 really good draft classes. But anyways, I just thought that I think this is a lose for Baker. I just don't see Baker being able to like succeed with this. Like, if he would go to Seattle and have a good year, like then he has his pick of options. I think this year he's going to get the crap beat out of him, Nick.
I don't know if Tom Brady could succeed in this situation. That's the thing. It's just a lose-lose.
This is just not it's just not a good roster. It's not. Yeah. I agree. They upgraded the offensive line. They took a left tackle at number 6, which was the smart decision to do instead of taking Kenny Pickett. I just don't think there's enough. Now, if Christian McCaffrey comes back and he's fully healthy and he has like 1,000 year and you win enough games, like you just kind of like don't let Baker lose you the game. Mm-hmm. I could see it, but like I think if they're gonna be great this year or have any shot of winning more than 5 games, Baker's gonna have to throw 50 times.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I mean, the other side of that is, Baker is going to struggle probably. And it's going to be a tough one to watch because obviously everybody's rooting for him. Everybody knows he was dealt a bad hand in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. But the other side of this scenario is, have you ever seen a team fall from such grace? Everybody in sports was rooting for Cleveland. Everybody wanted them to be good, and then now everybody hates them.
They're hated, dude.
They are hated by literally everybody.
I looked at Cleveland, like Cleveland Browns fans, as like the lovable losers, kind of like how
they were the most loyal people ever. You had to love them.
Them and Bills fans, we can agree, are probably the most loyal fan base in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Now Cleveland has become. They got one playoff win in 20 years, and Baker got him that win, by the way.
Right.
And 30 years, and Baker got him that win. And then the moment they realized that, like, hey, we can get Deshaun Watson, even with his terrible background, who might not ever play NFL football ever again. He really might not. They gave up on this kid who played hurt last year, by the way, too. Who's done nothing but like try to be the savior for that joke clown organization that is the Cleveland Browns. And I hope they win 2 games, because you know why? Because now the Texans will get the number 2 pick in the draft, or the number 1 pick in the draft for the next couple years. So I think Houston is sitting back here. And it's just
they're laughing their ass off right now.
They are laughing their ass off.
They can't believe how bad the Browns have fumbled this situation.
What it is that the fact that not only do they not have to worry about Deshaun Watson tearing it up in the AFC anymore, the fact that they got 3 first-round draft picks for a guy who's probably never going to play again, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Right, and they offloaded him off of their persona books to where now when the hammer does come down, it's Cleveland Brown quarterback. I mean, I know it's all media, but it's all perception, right? It's Cleveland Brown quarterback, Deshaun Watson, not Houston Texan quarterback, right? So that's a huge thing as well, just for branding purposes.
$230 million guaranteed, Nick. So I
worst trade in football? I mean, worst trade probably in all of sports.
It has to be up there. I don't know. The Paul Gasol, I don't know if you remember this Paul Gasol trade where the Lakers literally had to give up Kwame Brown to get Paul Gasol. That was a pretty bad one. Yeah, I can't think of too many bad trades that are this bad that like has just been
something.
like a laundry list.
Maybe the trade where, let's see, I can't remember what team actually drafted Kobe Bryant on the day of the draft and traded his rights for the Lakers.
It was the Hornets. It was the.
Hornets. Obviously that's all in hindsight, which I guess this one is too. But I mean, that's a pretty bad one too.
Yeah, but I mean, and then what is it? Orlando traded Shaq to the Lakers, and I'm sure Orlando regrets that. Yeah, it's just not. This is just not a good thing. I feel bad for Baker. Like he's okay. It's like realistically, this changes nothing in the NFC South. It doesn't. It does not change. In fact, if anything, it makes Atlanta maybe the fourth team instead of the third team. That might be the only thing that changes. I disagree. I'm still taking Atlanta over Carolina. I think Carolina is going to finish with the worst record in this division.
I do as well.
Yeah, I know we crack jokes about the Falcons, but like if you look on paper offensively, like they don't look that bad.
They don't look great. I would say offensively, Carolina looks better than the Falcons.
They're not. Nick, I want you to think about it. Carolina has a worse offensive line than Atlanta does. That is saying something.
That is saying something. Carolina. I mean, Atlanta's isn't that great though to begin with. Exactly. I'm like shitting on my own team to be. So
here's the thing.
That's the thing.
If we're lining up like weapons for Atlanta and Carolina, okay, I'm taking Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder over Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield. That's how I feel about that.
See, I would take Baker. I would take Baker over Mariota, but I would absolutely take Ridder over
right now
Sam Darnold.
Right now. And then it's like, okay, I love Cordell Patterson, so I think Cordell Patterson's a weapon. I think Kyle Pitts is he's getting ready to emerge.
Yeah,
so
that's the only real bright spot with Atlanta this year is that Kyle Pitts is just. I mean, he's waiting for his moment.
Oh yeah,
that's all he is.
If Desmond Ridder gets chemistry with Kyle Pitts, it's over.
Yeah,
it is. And then Drake London. Drake London is. I think he has a chance to be something special too. He's a big-bodied receiver. And then I love the fact there's a rumor Julio could come back to the Falcons, which would be awesome.
I don't know. I see that, and then I see the Falcons. I mean, giving like a first-round draft pick for him, and I'm like,
no, he's a free agent. He's a free agent.
He's a free agent after this year or right now?
No, right now. He's yet to be signed. So right now,
he only signed a 1-year deal. I thought it was 2.
It was 2, but they cut him.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he cut him. Yeah. So. Basically, it's not a good situation at all. I think what should happen is Carolina should just tank. They should just tank, go get one of these young guys, maybe win like 2 games, maybe 3. They're going to lose. They're going to get swept by Tampa Bay. They're going to get swept by New Orleans. And I think they'll split with Atlanta. Nick, would you say that's fair to say?
I would say a split. Yeah, home and home. You probably get, you get the win at home, and I mean it's going to be a tight one. I see the Saints sweeping them, and I see Tampa Bay sweeping them. So, I mean, 1 win in the division, you're probably right there, and then it'll just obviously come down to overall record. I think the Falcons have a pretty tough season this year. I haven't even looked at Carolina's though, so I have no idea.
Well, let me ask you this, Nick. If you're Carolina right now, who are you starting? If you had to put, using the DraftKings Sportsbook app, who is your day 1 starter? Is it going to be Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold?
Well, I think as of right now, just as pure talent and what the fan base wants, they want Baker. So I think you ride with him. I think do anything. If you're Matt Rule, I think you do anything to keep the fans on your side. Obviously, we talked about pre-show, like he's fighting for his job right now. And I think, you go with Baker on this one and just hope to God he has a little bit of that 2017 magic in him and he can squeeze out a few wins for you. And hopefully, Christian McCaffrey doesn't get hurt. I'll tell you though, honestly, this team can be sneaky. Like if you overlook them, like you said, like their defense isn't like just awful. I mean, they're going to break at times. Absolutely. They're not top tier defense like the Rams or Tampa Bay a few years ago. Like you can't look at them and know that they're going to get a stop when you need them to, but I think they're good enough to get 5-6 wins for them. And they're they will probably be able to beat the bottom ring tier of the NFL teams. Yeah. But it's just going to be kind of like you said, make sure that Baker doesn't lose you games. And you said he's a turnover machine, just like Sam Darnold. So as long as Baker doesn't go out there and lose them games, I see them actually being a 4 or 5, 6, 7 win, maybe even team. So.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So
I'm higher on them than I think you are, honestly. And maybe that's just me as a Falcons guy looking at them like, okay, they're not that bad. And you're looking at them from a Saints perspective where like y'all are looking to go to the Super Bowl this year. Right. So it's just probably a different perspective.
That is the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
I'm just being a realist at this point. I'm done with the blind, taking Marcus Mariota as my first quarterback overall. So I'm being a realist at this point. I think the Saints actually have a really good shot at the NFC South. Tom Brady, I feel like, is a bust this year. I think nobody takes him in fantasy. It's just, Fair enough. Dude, there's only so much a human body can take. You can't be 50 years old playing in the NFL. You just can't do it. It's not possible.
No, I know. Okay, so I'm agreeing with you. So if I had to put money on it, I would say, Yeah, I would say Baker starts week 1. I really think they're gonna try and unload Sam Darnold after preseason. So either they just have to like cut him, or they find some sucker who maybe a quarterback gets hurt in the preseason and they just have to unload him.
Yeah.
Because it happens every year. Like I remember, what was it? Teddy Bridgewater got traded to the Saints in, I think, like week 3 of preseason. And then it's like Kirk Cousins and like Sam Bradford. And so like, it's like, it happens every year. So they'll get some sucker to like give a 5th round pick for Sam Darnold. And then it's like, but when they cut him though, it's an $18 million cap hit. So yeah. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We already talked about it. We already talked about the DraftKings Sportsbook app, which is an official sponsor of the Oxcord podcast. MLB All-Star Weekend is coming, and we're already halfway through the baseball season, which unfortunately right now it kind of looks like the Yankees are going to win it. But you can place $10 in bets and win $100 in free bets using promo code BOOT. That's BOOT, using the DraftKings Sportsbook app. DraftKings Sportsbook app, official sponsor of the Oxcord podcast. Boom. Baseball season has not been fun for me this year, boys. It has not been fun.
Well, how's the Tampa Bay's your team, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so why? Aren't y'all supposed to be like on the track for 100 wins?
Well, I mean, the problem is though, is that we've just been really inconsistent this year. And it seems like the Yankees are just killing every single person that they play. Like,
well, they're poor. This is their year to win it. If they don't win it this year, they made a deal with God, and they're just not allowed to win it ever again because they're the team to win it for sure. Yeah. The Dodgers are really good. Yeah. The Braves are sneaky good. Like, they're only a game and a half back off the Mets now. The Mets are capitulating, which is hilarious. Yeah. Who else is just really good right now? Astros aren't terrible.
Twins are good. The Astros are killing people. Right now, the Rays are 3rd in the American League East behind.
Can we talk about the Baltimore Orioles? They're like actually at 500 at this point in the season.
They're 43 and 44. So,
okay, they're almost 500.
But hey, props to them though. They're still.
I think the last like 3 years they maxed out at 43 wins total. Like the last 3 years, awful. That's where like they left at. So
yeah. So let's see. Mets are leading the NL East. Braves right behind them. They're a game and a half back.
And we're about to start a series with them at home. So that's huge.
Dude, Atlanta's getting hot at the right time again, which scares me. I could really see them trying to go for a back-to-back. The Brewers are leading the NL Central, and then the Dodgers are just killing everybody in the NL West. They're 7.5 games ahead of the Padres. Yeah, see, like, my thing is that the Rays right now, they're 3rd. They're a game and a half. No, they're actually just a game behind Boston for 2nd. But, dude, New York has a 15-game lead over Boston. 15 games. So that means like New York has to go on a terrible run to end the season. They're 34-9 at home. I mean, Aaron Judge has to be MVP at this point, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, with a record, what are they, like 60 and 20? Yeah, 61 and 24. I mean,
that's insane.
At this point in the year, that's insanity. It's going to take a New York Mets type meltdown for them to lose that lead, and then it's also going to take like Boston like going on a tear.
So after almost after almost 100 games, they have won 71, like almost 72% of their games this year.
Right,
that's insane. It makes
their division isn't easy, I would say. So
no, I would say
tough.
they play because Boston and Tampa are consistently good, and then Toronto comes out of nowhere sometimes. But I want to stick to a New York sports team because I think yesterday the funniest possible story, if true, allegedly true.
Yeah, this is allegedly.
The New York Jets quarterback, Zach Wilson, apparently his ex-girlfriend is dating his best friend, or is one of his ex-best friends from BYU. And someone had the call to comment on the picture saying homie hopper. Well, his ex-girlfriend then said Zach was banging his mom's best friend while they were dating. That's the true homie hopper. That's a huge act.
I have one sentence to say about Zach Wilson after this news. He's got that dog in him.
Yeah, he definitely. If that's true, that is absolute insane. Now, obviously, you break up with a girl, whether it was her breaking up, whoever, it's possible that, that was just thrown out there as a rumor to, slander his name a little bit after a messy breakup. You never know how stuff like that is happening. But man, if that is true, holy cow, dude's got game. I mean, Bron, you said it before, those BYU girls, man, they're kind of some smoke shows, right? So they got some pretty girls out there. The Mormons know how to make them. So that was kind of a weird thing to say, I guess. But anyways,
Mormon listeners we have.
So the other thing is the guy that he played with,
his
best friend, right? He came out on Instagram today and posted a picture with her, and he got absolutely cooked in his comments.
Oh yeah,
just absolutely obliterated. So it's probably one of those things where it's such a slow news cycle right now that this is the big story, and it'll probably die by the next big thing that happens. But
yeah, we're bored.
It's a very boring time right now,
dude.
We're talking about Zach Wilson's love life like it's an episode of Real Housewives.
I will say this: if it is true, you are a starting NFL quarterback who's actually a really good-looking guy who lives in New York.
He's a good-looking kid, yeah.
Who lives in New York, and you have to go after your mom's friend.
Can we get a picture of the friend though before we start judging? We need to get a picture.
I need to see. I need to see what this woman looks like. Hold on.
Yeah,
I need to see Zach Wilson
because if she's a smoke,
because Zach Wilson's mom's a smoke show too. I think in the NFL draft 2 years ago.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Zach Wilson's mom friend. I can't find a picture of the mom's friend. Let's see.
We gotta find this though. It's probably private. Obviously, it's probably impossible.
Oh no, nope. Never mind. Found it.
Did you find it?
Okay, yeah,
Smoke?
she's pretty. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kaylee's not listening.
Drop it in the group chat.
First off, drop it in the group chat and then also give a rating.
Also, but the girlfriend that he cheated with, I'm looking
Chris
at
is looking
her
to make sure
right
he's
now.
not about to get killed.
God damn, dude. She is.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay,
no.
I kind of believe the story now. I kind of believe it.
Wait, hold on. Let me see this. Okay. Yeah.
Yep, I believe it.
Yeah. That's
100%. What the hell?
I would. I'd do it.
She's hotter than his girlfriend.
I like living, so I'm not going to make a comment.
Don't comment. Well, see, my girlfriend doesn't listen to the show, so I think I'm solid. Oh, no. She heard. Oh, that tiny New York apartment's coming back to bite you in the ass, huh?
Anyways, I just thought it was a ridiculous story. I don't know if it's true or not. I kind of hope for his family's sake and him it's not true. It's just a really bad rumor.
I wonder if the truth will ever actually come out, or
It probably
if it'll be
won't.
just dusted under the rug. Let's make it to the season. But I mean, you have to imagine. Did the New York Jets and the Washington football team play, or Commanders, whatever? Did they play this year?
I don't know. Let's see.
If they do, I hope that's a headline. I hope it is.
I know we didn't really touch on it, but Carolina and Cleveland play week 1.
Yeah, I did see that. That's
Ooh.
going to be an awesome story.
It's going to be a good one.
So if Baker goes out there and beats Cleveland in his first game as a Carolina Panther.
Funny. Or Myles Garrett sacks him 5 times. And obliterates. Speaking of Myles Garrett, did you see the video of him dunking in Summer League?
Yeah. It's kind of scary how athletic some of these people are. Actually, I'll tell you a little quick story since we're just kind of rambling to try and get time for the show. So I live in Birmingham, right? And the USFL league was out of Birmingham. It was HQ'd here. All of the games were played here.
Did you go?
Yeah. I mean, so I went to some of the games. I didn't go to the championship. That was in Indy. But obviously with some of the teams, that are playing here, a bunch of the players, they just Airbnb, apartments, long-term or short-term leases at apartments here. So, I was at this apartment going up the elevator and, off steps this 6'7", probably 250-pound guy. He had a ACL brace on his knee. Obviously he had torn his ACL. He played for, I think the Pittsburgh team or something like that. I can't remember. The Pittsburgh Panthers, I think, was the team. But this guy was not even good enough probably to sniff the practice field in the NFL. And I'm just staring up at this guy and I'm picturing, a coach telling me, hey, you got to go out there and tackle him to the ground. No. And it's just impossible. And then you start thinking to yourself, yeah, this guy wasn't even good enough to get on a practice team in the NFL. What are those guys looking like? That's insanity to me.
That's fair. I saw some of it. I just didn't quite understand what was happening, so I didn't know what the World Games was. No, the World Games.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the USFL.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I did do the World Games as well, which actually was hilarious. Side note to that, I bought tickets to go to a hockey game thinking it was me ice hockey. Ends up being rollerblade hockey, and it was so much fun. My sister went to a sumo wrestling match. Hilarious. I got some awesome videos for that. Yeah, sumo wrestling, dude.
Yeah, they have sumo wrestling in the World Games.
What?
I saw a 300-pound American woman body slam another woman on the outside of the mat. It was hilarious.
The World Games are basically like the Olympics for sports that aren't popular enough to be recognized by the Olympic Committee.
There's dodgeball. There's so softball is one, which softball is actually a popular sport. There's rollerblade hockey, wheelchair rugby, which is an insane concept if you actually sit down and think about it for a second. Let's see, what's another one? I can't. There's sports I've never heard of, like fistball. I don't even know what fistball is, but I wanted to buy a ticket and go to
that
it.
That shit's nuts. It's kind of it's like a mix between soccer. It's like soccer, but you can use your hands. It's kind of like ultimate frisbee, but also soccer.
So it's you're throwing it into a net, and there's
in ultimate frisbee, you can only take a certain amount of steps after you catch the frisbee, and that's from what I understand. I've seen it a couple times, and it's electric. But
that's also a sport. Is ultimate frisbee.
Hearing all this makes me very depressed, and realize that I still have 40 more days where I don't have to ever hear this ever again.
What about World Games and stuff?
Yes.
It's fun stuff though, man. It's one of those stuff where if you go and you're not expecting to watch anything impressive, you're just going to have fun, especially if you go there drunk with friends. It's hilarious. I saw a bunch of people just show up drunk out of their mind to a rollerblade hockey, and they were I think they showed up. They bought merch for Czechoslovakia, which was the team that was playing that we were watching, and they were just decked out in Czechoslovakian gear, just yelling like crazy. It was hilarious.
Were they checking people?
What, for beer?
No, checking.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, people were side swiping. They were they didn't have pads on, and it was the floor was like a basketball court floor. It was like hard. So like these guys were coming up with their sticks and like sliding their sticks up underneath their rollerblades, and people were flying. And then the other side of it is like people were taking slap shots from like, 20 yards out. It would hit like the top of someone's helmet and then fly into the stands. I almost saw a girl get her head taken off by a puck. I mean, it was a wild experience.
Is it an actual puck or is it like a ball?
No, it's a puck. Like it's a hockey puck.
Oh, dude. All right. We used to play hockey in high school and gym, and doing that on a hardwood floor does not, from personal experience, is not fun because that puck does not move.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, Nick, look what I'm drinking again.
What are you drinking here? Oh, it brought it back. All right, have we been sponsored by the Bodega seltzer water yet?
Yes, House, please sponsor me. I drink your.
Which one is this one? Is this still like the weird flavor?
No, it's the vanilla, like last week.
Okay, so what were the flavors again? And you chose vanilla for some reason.
It was black cherry, regular, and then lime.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Get black cherry next time. I want to see how that one is.
Okay, I promise I will. Anyways, all right, enough of world games and handball. And
Cruz is an old man and just hates what he doesn't understand. That's what this is right now.
Old dude, I'm not 30 yet.
You're pushing it.
So, Cruz, whenever you turn 30, what are we gonna do for it?
I don't know. File for like Social Security. I don't really know at this point.
Get some AARP action going on.
Go to Golden Corral. Get an early bird special
at 5:00. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Anyways, I don't know if everyone saw. I released my my top 10 college football players going into the 2022 season. I didn't get a ton of blowback, but I mean, y'all gave me a little bit of crap for it. My number 1 was Will Anderson, Bryce Young. CJ Stroud was 3, 4 was Bijan Robinson out of Texas, 5 Brock Bowers out of Georgia, 6 Noel Sewell out of Oregon, 7 Keyshawn Butte out of LSU, 8 Jordan Battle from Bama, 9 JSN from Ohio State, and then number 10 is where I got a lot of blowback from because I just don't think enough people know who he is. His name is Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State, and if you have not watched this kid play football, it's like when, if you remember on like Road to Heisman during NCAA, you would create like the smallest possible character, and then just like he has like 99 speed. That's Deuce Vaughn. He's 5'6", 160, and he is like is
he a running back?
Yeah, dude, he is like you can't tackle him. He reminds me of Darren Sproles. He's just like you can't tackle him. He is maybe the most exciting player in college football no one knows about, and like I was like going through it. I was watching his highlights and because basically I tried to put I'm going to do the linemen in their own list, but like I have 2 quarterbacks on there, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and then obviously I had to have a tight end on there, and then the rest were defensive players. I'm telling you, I got a lot of blowback putting Keyshawn Butte over Jackson Smith. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, I think JSN from Ohio State is a very talented player. But he had the game of his life in the Rose Bowl, and the only reason he did is because Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave sat out for it.
Right.
He's good. I think like we just need to pump the brakes a little bit on him being like the next.
But he's going to be that number 1 guy this year. I mean, he's going to have that pressure on him, and he showed up in the Rose Bowl when it mattered most.
He showed up in the Rose Bowl when it mattered most with Utah defenders sitting out and Ohio State players sitting out. Like I thought, like I want to see, I legit want to see what he does in a full season. Like I think he's the next great Ohio State receiver. Like over the last couple of years, like Ohio State puts out 1st-round picks at wide receiver, like Jameson Williams. We know he went to Bama, but he started at Ohio State.
He was going to be a number 1 pick. Like a 1st-round pick anyway.
100%. Like Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. I'm trying to think of other Michael Thomas. Who's other good wide receivers out of Ohio State? Who I'm missing? I feel like I'm missing some. Regardless, he's going to be great. Keyshawn Butte is tore it up at LSU for the last 2 seasons. The kid is. He has the potential to be like Jamar Chase level good. Like, he's that good. Like he has not had any consistency at quarterback for 2 seasons, and he's putting up Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase numbers. Like he is a stud. I I will say this though, like Brock Bowers is unguardable at tight end. He is pound for like I can argue pound for pound, he's the best offensive player in football, in college football. He is. Yeah. He was a freshman last year, and he looked like an NFL tight end playing at 18 years old. He tore up Bama twice. He tore up the entire SEC. So like the reason I have him so high is not because I think I just think he's one-on-one, he's a matchup nightmare, and you just can't. I think he's the best tight end in the country, and I don't even think it's remotely close. Bijan Robinson out of Texas, when healthy, he is Reggie Bush-like. If you don't believe me, go watch the Texas-Oklahoma game last year. He is just amazing. I think personally I have CJ Stroud a little too high, but obviously quarterbacks are, obviously always going to be ranked high. I will say this though, and Nick and Bon, you were there when I said this. I said that he was not going to live up to the hype, and he was just not ready for the moment. And the first couple of weeks of the seasons, I looked right. Like after the Oregon game, I was like, "Yep, okay, it's time to move on." And then
he did have like 450 yards of passing in that Oregon game.
But his play was the reason why they lost as well. And then he turned it around. Against Michigan State, he just lit him up. I thought he was fantastic. I mean
some books has him as the Heisman favorite this year, which is
they do. Yeah.
I personally only think that's because they don't want to give it to the same guy 2 years ago.
And I could definitely see that. And I think, but going back on back to CJ though, he's got all the talent in the world around him. He's got a defense there to bail him out when it needs to. He's got every opportunity to go undefeated, win a national championship this year.
Yes, 100% they do.
I think if he does, he probably deserves the Heisman. And I'm saying that as I love Bryce Young, right? But CJ is, towards the end of last season, like you said, started very slow, found it in the later part. But if he continues that play and gets better from what he was at the end of last season, the sky's the limit for this kid.
I think so too. Then I have Bryce too. I know putting the Heisman Trophy winner at 2 on a list of returning players is kind of what the hell. But when you're that good as the number 1 player, Will Anderson, that's an understatement. Will Anderson is a generational talent. He would have. I'll put it like this: he would have been argued for the first pick in the draft as a freshman after his freshman season. Yeah. He is maybe the second coming of Lawrence Taylor. He is that guy. I love Bryce. I can't wait to see what he does in year 2 as a starter. I'll say this, I think Bama's offense will be better than it was last year. I think the weapons that have come in, I think the offensive line is older, and they got some good replacements. I think Steen from Vanderbilt, the transfer, is going to be a bigger impact that no one talks about. I think Latu is going to have a bigger year. I think the running back position is going to be solidified with Gibbs and Trey Sanders. And then I am blanking on his name. McClellan is back. Yeah, is back. And we've added some great talent. So I think Bryce has a chance to put up even better numbers than he did last year. And then we got 2 great transfers from Georgia and Louisville. And then we have JoJo Ehler is back in the slot. And then we also have Ja'Cory Brooks. I think Bryce has a chance to put up even better numbers. I think though, this is going to be the year that defensive player has a legit shot to win it.
Yeah. I think anybody that knows college football, and even if you don't know college football and you just watch Will Anderson play, it's very similar, honestly, to me watching Devontae Smith in 2020. He is a different player playing on a different field, playing at a different level than everybody else on the field, and that's including Bryce Young. He is just a fundamentally, on every single letter, better football player than everybody else. And it's a magical thing to watch, to be honest with you. Yeah.
And
I'd say that about the guy if he played on Georgia, if he played at Ohio State or USC, he's that good.
No, he is the best player defensively. I think the best player I've ever seen. I really do.
I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah. I'm trying to think great ones I've seen. I thought the Bosas were great when they were there. I think
Jadeveon Clowney at USC was really good.
Yeah, Honey Badger was up there.
Honey Badger was really good.
Quentin Williams was really good when he was at Bama as well. Jonathan Allen.
Yeah, Q-Dub.
Yeah, Q-Dub. Mario Williams at NC State. Like, I've seen some studs, but like I just think he jumps off the thing. I think the magic number is 25. 25 sacks is the magic number to get to have a
he's one
shot.
of those for sure. And he's one of those players where if you buy a ticket and you do absolutely nothing but keep your binoculars on 31 the entire game, you will leave that game satisfied going to a football game. He's that entertaining to watch.
No, absolutely. So other than that, like any major problems you saw with the list?
No, I mean, my list, we made ours. Mine didn't get put into a graphic, but we were mainly wanting to do yours so we could talk about it for the show, and that's great. Mine and yours was very similar. The only thing, and I agree fully that Brock out of Georgia is basically unstoppable. It's going to be up to Georgia to actually use him in the offense as much as they should. And I hope they make him a main weapon because he deserves it. I mean, that kid is unbelievably talented. I mean, he's going to be tight end 1 this year. He's going to be tight end 1 his junior year and be a top 10 pick probably. What's his
2 years? He's a sophomore. This is a sophomore year. Yes,
right.
He was a true freshman last year, which is insane to think about. I'm almost jealous because when's the last time we had a tight end that dominant? OJ, and he didn't even get used. Irv Smith was actually pretty.
Irv was dominant.
Great.
We didn't use him as much. OJ honestly was underused.
Oh my God, so much.
Yeah, and I'm blanking on the name. He transferred to Texas. Now I can't think of it.
Oh, he was Billingsley.
Yeah, Billingsley had that opportunity to be that because I mean he. As a tight end, was an excellent run blocker coming in, and then just showed up out of nowhere and had hands like Devontae Smith. It was crazy. He was catching everything. But I don't know. It was an attitude thing, or he wasn't gelling. But yeah, it was something like that. I think he had the opportunity to be a really dominant tight end, but I think he just didn't really have the necessary attitude it takes to win at Alabama. So
yeah,
but I hope he has success. I hope he goes to Texas and has a good career. But
whatever. Okay, so I want to end the show on this because, and especially on week 2, by the way, I want to end it on this. So we've been doing our hypotheticals that we've been doing the last couple of weeks, and this one got brought up to us because eventually it's going to get to this time now. Nick Saban probably has, what would you say, guys, like a couple years left before he like realistically
he's going to finish out his career. I mean, he's going to finish out this contract. 2027 will be his last year.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I think it has a chance to be before then if he wins maybe one more, definitely 2. I think if he wins 2 more in the span of that, I think he calls it quits because he has nothing else left to prove. And I think he really wants to like settle down. Like, he's a grandfather now. I think he would be great on TV. He's a fun guy to not like. I know plenty of other schools who just can't stand him, but like at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, he's the greatest coach of all time. But who's stepping in line to replace him? Like, realistically, there's going to step in line to, take over that role. And it's easier said than done because huge footsteps to live up to. When Saban came in, he stepped into a situation where he was almost like, oh my God, we haven't done this great since Gene Stallings, like in over a decade. And Gene Stallings had it as far as, Bear Bryant. So immediately this guy's going to have to come in and he has to win now, unfortunately. So I want to ask you guys, and Wyatt, we'll start with you. Who is your number 1 pick to replace Saban when it's all said and done? Realistically, too, by the way, we're actually like, we're not just going to say like Bill Belichick or bring Bear Bryant back from the dead. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, that'd be really cool to see.
If it was possible, I think we would try.
Well, we all know there's like a cyborg version of Nick Saban being built under Bryant Denny Stadium right now. But ignoring that scenario,
yeah,
I think the logical choice, this is not my choice, but I think the logical choice would be run a blank check up to Oxford and say, please, come on. But I think what I think what will happen, this guy's been our recruiting ace besides the head coach since, I think, 2018, 2019. Long-term defensive coordinator. This guy has had the chance to leave and has chosen not to leave. So there's something there that tells me it's brewing in the background. Might be in the back of Saban's head. The drunk king himself, Pete Golding, as the replacement for Nick Saban.
I hear you, and I like the recruiting aspect because that's probably the biggest part of winning in college football.
Besides Nick Saban.
But the DUI, it's one of those, I don't know if the boosters are going to get behind that. He's great as a DC. If he wants to stick around as a lifetime guy as DC, but as the face of a program, I just don't know if you can
He's been
great as a strong word.
Perennial top 5 defense, even when we were giving him shit for whatever the Ole Miss game was in 2020 and the first half of that Georgia game. Like, we still finished top 5 in every major category, every noticeable category that year, and shut down everybody from halftime of the Georgia game to the end of the year, basically.
Are you talking about 2020?
Yes, the 2020 year.
Except Florida.
See, everyone says that when I bring up that argument. I think it was the players that fell asleep because we were up like 35-14 and then went up, I think, almost 42-14 at that point. And we fell asleep and coasted at the wheel.
Yeah, I think that is – I think you have something there for sure. I mean, a coach can only do so much if the players don't play the scheme.
Right.
And, Florida was a great team that year, so it's hard to – It's hard to argue for sure, but I think the image, I mean, like, as far as a guy that could win right now, you're going to have to bring in an offensive coordinator that is going to be like a Lane Kiffin style that is just going to score points, and all you have to do is focus on the defense. I don't necessarily think the guy that coached at Delta State 10 years ago is going to be the HC at Alabama.
I mean, prior to Alabama, Nick Saban had won one national championship at LSU, and it seemed like a lightning in a bottle type situation. Had the coaching staff, probably the greatest coaching staff of all time that year at LSU. Went to the Dolphins, was not good. I mean,
that's not his fault,
Saban did not have a great image coming into Alabama.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Okay. Yeah.
Why? I mean, there were people that I knew that, that were very well respected that woke up at 5:00 in the morning and drove to the regional airport in Tuscaloosa. And at 6 a.m. when Nick Saban walked off the cage, they were up against the chain link fence, yelling, screaming like he was a god sent from the heavens himself to revive that. It was absolutely their first choice. Well,
no, he was not.
No, Rich Rod was. You're right, but I mean, you're right. Yeah, okay. He wasn't his first choice. You're right.
I'm just saying, I've heard worse ideas than the long-term defensive coordinator of a perennial top 5 defense and recruiting ace taking over for the defensive-minded head coach after he's already had a chance to leave and chose to stay.
I don't disagree with that, though.
I've heard worse ideas.
I don't disagree with that.
All right, Nick. Who is your pick?
Well, Wyatt kind of alluded to it. It's kind of tough. It's hard to argue against this one. I mean, I think you write a blank check to Lane Kiffin. Fan base loves him. He's matured in the last, ever since he coached under Nick Saban as OC at Alabama. He hasn't really been a crazy person like in the news. I mean, obviously there were all the rumors of Joey Freshwater going to bars, picking up, chicks, but it seems like the Joey Freshwater days are behind him. And yeah, I think you just write a blank check. He's exciting. He's a young guy. He's, fantastic at recruiting. If he can get guys to come to Ole Miss, Mississippi, if you can get guys to come to Oxford, Mississippi and play football, you can absolutely get them to come to Tuscaloosa. You're going to have more money than you know what to do with as far as recruiting wise goes. And is he a guy that can go in and win, 2 out of 3 national championships? Maybe not, but I think Nick Saban's probably the only guy that can do that. But is he going to be a consistent 9, 10, 11 win guy? Probably. I could see it.
Okay, I don't mind that. I think more of I would love that because I think he's young, he's energetic, he can recruit. I think players love to play for him. My thing is though is that are the boosters going to be okay with that? Like, are they going to be able to swallow their pride and be like, hey, Lane, like, you want to come back?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't exactly a clean breakup when they left, too. By the way,
true.
And like they play every year. I don't know. I me personally, Nick, like that is my favorite. Like I love that. I think it makes so much sense. It really does. And offensively, I think we would be great. But my problem is that the boosters won't pull their head out of their ass and allow it.
So we've got a character issue with the guy who has one DUI and is our recruiting ace.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Besides walking Nick Saban into this recruit's door.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did
we
Lane
took
Kiffin a DUI? I'm sorry. Did that happen?
And
he did cheat on his wife for like 5 years.
Allegedly.
And we are, instead of that man, we are going with the guy who had the 17th ranked recruiting class in 2021.
In Mississippi.
At
Joey Freshwater.
It's like Mississippi State. You can't recruit for shit there, man.
Joey Freshwater. All right.
Okay, I have watched Lane Kiffin coach circles around P. Golding.
Oh, I will agree. Lane Kiffin is
he's second to
in my eyes, he is the best offensive mind in football. Say what you want about Steve Sarkisian, it's Lane Kiffin.
I think Lincoln Riley's up there too, but I agree with you.
Riley is up there, but it's Lane.
Yeah. Okay, so Bond, who do you have?
All right, my heart wants me to bring in Matt LaFleur.
Is that a realistic
love that
pick?
That's
Is that a realistic pick?
No, it is not realistic.
I mean, we're saying Bill Belichick. I feel like it's actually not horrible.
He is the head coach of the Green Bay Packers and has been one game from making the Super Bowl. He's been one game from the Super Bowl twice. We said the same shit about Andy Reid for years, and then Patrick Mahomes falls into his lap.
Can I defend my?
You leave Andy.
I love Big Red. I love Big Red.
He's the captain of my ship. I love him.
Okay, so I don't think it's an unrealistic pick, but it's not going to be my answer. Bill Belichick, yes, unrealistic. That man is going to retire in New England. He has to. But Matt LaFleur has experience coaching. He's been a quarterback coach at both the college and NFL level. He's been an offensive coordinator at the NFL level. And he was the first rookie coach to win 13 games since Jim Harbaugh in 2011.
So,
but my actual answer...
You think Matt LaFleur would leave the most historic coaching job in football? All of football, by the way. Not just college. We're talking NFL. To go coach
in
Alabama.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Nick Saban's the highest paid public employee in the country.
True. To be fair,
he's not the highest paid coach anymore, though.
It is the most he's leaving the most historic NFL franchise to the most historic college franchise.
Okay, that's fair.
And
I think it's more realistic than what you think, honestly.
Actually,
my NFL heart does not want this to happen.
He's a fantastic quarterbacks coach. He worked with Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers won an MVP under him and his offensive scheme. So he would draw in very good QB recruits to Alabama. But my actual answer that I think is most likely to happen is Lincoln Riley.
Oh.
Is that saying, okay, now question to that, because I think the only way he ever leaves USC is if he just melts down or there's some sanctions going on, right? So if he leaves, it's something major has happened. Does Alabama even touch him after that?
I don't think it would require something major. If it comes up that he's in a contract renewal year and Alabama offers him a bigger bag than USC,
I wonder if Alabama can offer him a bigger bag. I mean, USC, like,
that's
the one thing about USC that I think they might have over Bama is they got deep pockets out there.
They're a private institution too.
Yeah, they got pockets for days.
Our endowment is big. I have delved into the university's financials back when I was investigating whether we could actually afford to house and maintain a live elephant. And the answer is we can, for very cheaply, by the way.
Greg Byrne, if you're listening.
I was about to say, Greg Byrne, come on, man. Let's make it happen.
You'd be
we could do 2 elephants and not even touch the interest rate. on our endowment.
Jesus.
That's hilarious.
God.
Okay, so you have that.
After he dodged the SEC already?
I think that, well, I can't say Lane Kiffin.
Fair.
And outside of Lane Kiffin, I think Lincoln Riley is the best offensive mind in college football right now.
That's true. That's true.
So I've been going back and forth. There's two guys. There's three I really liked who I thought were realistic. I really like what Mario Cristobal's doing out of Miami. And he hasn't even coached yet. But he's killing recruiting. And then of course there's the huge elephant in the room that is always going to get brought up, which is Dabo Swinney. I hate it as much as you do. I can't stand the guy anymore. I used to be a huge Dabo supporter. I just can't get on along with it anymore. I'm actually still going to go with a Saban guy though, and it's a guy who I think has a chance to really do something special in the next couple of years if it comes down to it. I'm going Mel Tucker out of Michigan State.
That's where I thought you were going.
It's actually not a horrible take.
I
don't hate that.
No, Mel Tucker is dude wins. He can recruit. Players love him. His first year at Michigan State wins 10 games, beats Michigan, which your first year and you beat your arch rival who went to the playoffs in your first year, and you win a New Year's Six game. That's a big deal coming into year two, and they brought a lot of guys back. And I wouldn't be surprised if they gave Ohio State a run for their money this year, or Michigan or Penn State. He's a Saban guy, knows how to recruit. Players love him. He's young. He's energetic. I think that he's already. I think he would be a slam dunk with boosters and the athletic department. And honestly, I think it would be great for the University of Alabama. It would be the University of Alabama's first African American head coach as well. So it could be something big like that. I think Saban will also sign off on Mel Tucker too. I think he'd have a hard time signing off on Lane. I think he would have a hard time signing off on Pete, and I think he would have a hard time signing off on Lincoln. So it just kind of makes sense. I think the only I feel like out of all y'all's, I think Lane is probably the most realistic. I feel like Lane has proven enough to get a shot. I think Pete, your first ever head coaching job should not be the most historic coaching job of all time. He needs to go to like a Mississippi State or a Vanderbilt or a Missouri if he wants to like go there for a few years, win your division, and then we can come talk. Like I think the pressure alone would eat Pete alive.
I haven't.
That's
we talked about when we were laying out the show, like, hey, let's go back and forth. Let's say how these picks are like wrong or bad. Or I have absolutely nothing to say about Mel Tucker. I think he's a class act of a guy. He's a great coach. Players love him. I would be happy about that hire. I'd be actually really excited about that hire.
I think it would be different. I think it would be he kind of is Saban a little bit in his ways and the way he coaches, and he's younger, and I think and he's done a really good job recruiting at Michigan State, especially with like having Michigan right in your backyard in Ann Arbor, who draws in recruits, and you have to compete against Ohio State and Penn State. I'm excited. Like I think Michigan State has a chance to have a really good season again, possibly another 10-win year, maybe even more. They get Ohio State at home this year, but they have to go to Michigan, so that's the only thing I'd be worried about. But I think overall we all had pretty solid picks.
Yeah, agreed.
I think I'd like the Mel pick the most.
Yeah, I'm actually Lane's probably the most realistic. Mel is the one I'd be the most excited about.
You're starting to get to a point where you see in these Saban assistant contracts, you start to see what people have called a Bama clause. It's in Dabo's contract where like the buyout is so much more if like Alabama comes calling. All these other teams are watching this start to happen, and they're saying, hey, we got to be ready because Bama's going to start the minute Saban retires. Every one of his assistants is getting a phone call.
100%.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for our show this week. You can find me online at The Real Cruzaux on Instagram, Twitter, And please follow the Oxcord podcast on all socials and, of course, Boot Crew Media as well. Boys, how can they find you?
Yeah, drop a follow at InPerkins96. Still chasing those shows. Twitter.
How's that going?
The margin has widened, and I'm feeling really, really bad about myself. But Wyatt, you've been killing it. So shout out to Wyatt on that one. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Wyatt, what you got?
You can find me on Twitter at FultonW_. Don't follow me, though. Follow the Oxcord and Boot Crew. I don't care about my Twitter following. You guys have been super supportive and super interactive with all of our tweets lately. We absolutely love it. Give us a follow, please.
Y'all can find me on Twitter at @Bonsnow_. And then follow the Oxcord podcast on TikTok at OxfordPod. I've been moving the last week, so I have not been as active, but that will change.
The ass ratings have fallen off quite a bit, I must say. I mean, it's a steep decline.
Oh no!
I don't go out. I don't go out anymore. There's no one in town to go out with.
Oh man!
All my friends graduated. I'm the only one here right now over the summer.
That's depressing.
That is.
Yeah, no.
Well,
I've been drinking a lot of beer and playing a lot of video games with my boys back home.
There you go. All right. Well, we love you guys, and we'll see you next.